I remember talking to you about Rainmaker. I thought it was interesting what Frank Kern was doing a while ago. And you hit me back with something that Dan Henry's doing. What's so basically these AI guys, these gurus, marketing gurus, are using AI to make their funnel systems much more responsive and human through the use of AI to get you to buy their products. Oh, you're interested in the product. You like this or this? I like the second option. Very cool. Hey, check this out. Go here. And it's a human like sales interface for the most part. That what I'm seeing. That's what I saw from Frank Kern. And you said some other people are doing the same thing. So now what are these other people trying to do?
Yeah, yeah, to your point, yeah, credit to you. You say, "Hey, go check out Frank Kern stuff." And so I did his little IG chat bot, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's pretty interesting." And then forgot all about it. And then I started joining Dan Henry's Get Clients at University type project and saying what he's doing. And then one of his pitches, once he has you in his ecosystem, right, to go sell you something else. It's just FYI. Which is no, hey, don't hate the game. Don't hate the game. So anyway, so he sold me on this thing. We create this whole system, this software for you, and we'll do all these automations and create these funnels for you, which is true to a bit, but there's a lot of customization you still got to do, right, for your audience and all that. And so that's what I've learned through their help. And they have other things. I was able to start create my own kind of funnel system. So I learned a lot. And one of them is this AI bot that he created. Now, look, it's just automation that kind of tags the chat GPT to make it more fluid. But what they're selling is my knowledge of marketing. My brain is powering behind the logic of the AI, right? What questions to ask, why to ask in that way, what words to say. And so that's what they're pitching. Frank Kern, Dan Henry, all these guys, because what they're saying is, look, instead of just buying a $20,000 course or mastermind from me or $2,000 course, just buy my software and you can automate me into your system. And which is I thought was yes, I think that's where they're trying to go, right? They're all trying to create some kind of software-based system, and all they're doing is white labeling a system called Go High Level. I don't know if you have you heard of that software?
Yes, yeah. Billie Jean uses it.
Yep. 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 And the rumor is Frank Kern is using it, Dan Henry. I think a lot of gurus are starting to use that now. So that's like the next level ClickFunnels, right? It's like everybody saw how much money Russell made from ClickFunnels. They said, man, we need to do our own thing. And so Go High Level came out. And I think a lot of these guys, these gurus may put some money into it too. They may have some back end stuff. Go High Level is like the next generation of funnel creation for like agency owners. If you're a marketing agency helping people get leads and stuff, it's supposed to be all in one where you create your funnel system, you can send your nurture campaigns, your emails out, everything all, and now this automation piece, right? And so that's what they're selling, this kind of white label system to cohort. So now they're not looking at just getting one-time money from their folks with courses and things like that. They're trying to get recurring revenue. And so
Yeah.
this is their vision. So I say all this say is they're okay. Be honest with you, Mr. But nothing earth shattering. Let's be honest. They're marketers, right? They're not product guys. I think Alex Hormozy, I think I sent you that link about Alex Hormozy saying all these marketers think they're gonna make software. Forget it.
Yeah.
He's not wrong because
Yeah.
and it is one of those things that I think these gurus are starting to learn because and software doesn't work right. You gotta have support and all that stuff. So this whole go high and low connection with these guys is what they're trying to do. But it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I'll be honest with you, Mr. Ben. I heard rumors. I sent you a podcast right before this. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it. But Ben Thompson, he's that guru, Shachekari. He was doing a session, and we'll talk about that probably later about AI in Hollywood. But he said, look, I get these gurus are trying to show their value and all that stuff and give you tools to help you with
Right,
your
right.
Facebook ad, all that. But Facebook eventually is going to put that intelligence inside their own system and it's going to create the ads for you with the right marketing messaging. Because they already know what kind of messaging is going to get Mr. Benja to
Yeah.
click. As an ex former game designer, current artist, I'm trying to sell Mr. Benja on some software. They're like, "Nah, don't do it this way, do it this way." And the AI is already gonna know. So I do feel like these gurus are trying to stay ahead of the curve before everything drastically changes, in my opinion.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's funny, like you said, Alex realized he's not a product guy. And last week we were talking about Kanye West, and it's funny. I need to start like because I keep my marketing stuff separate from my creative stuff if I'm ever actually going down a rabbit hole or whatever. but I think you need to start keeping a like almost a swipe file of things that were really creative, artistic, and cool that people did that covers all of the marketing stuff that I'm looking at, all of the sales and branding stuff I'm looking at. Like Kanye West just did a new ad on his, and by the way, he's fascinating as a creative to follow. If you want to get at me about liking him or disliking him, flame me in the comments, please.
Oh,
But
they
he did
flamed me, Mr. Bencher. They flamed me. I said Taylor Swift owes her career to Kanye West. I loved it. I loved it. They came after me. I was like, I told my team, run it anyway. They said, you should go run it.
run
I
it.
don't care.
You're that
And
guy.
guess what? We got the most views on my personal channel and on the short in a while. And we got like about 10 followers. So man, that stuff works. I hate to say it. Enragement increases engagement.
Man, dude, Neil Patel just put something out that had everybody raging at him. And it was, yeah. At the very, it's funny, at the very, he basically listed out a kind of scammy, weird, some would say gross marketing tactic. And at the very end of it, but hey, it works. And at the
And it
end,
did.
yeah, at the end of it, everybody starts flaming him like, I don't believe you're saying this. And some people are like, he's just telling the truth. And I was like, I wonder how many people caught the fact that he used that exact tactic in that thread that he posted, and at the end, actually really hooked you just the way he said you should, so, I don't know. But yeah, that's funny stuff, man. I love it.
So anyway, if you want to see something funny, go look at Frank Kern's Young. Had me cracking up, Mr. Benja.
What is this? He's got this weird blog of when he used to be, like, a
So
surfer.
I did not know. I did not know, man.
Oh, you didn't know
This
he
is
looked like
funny.
that?
Nah, I didn't know this guy until maybe you told me about him. Then I started seeing all this stuff. I
Oh,
think because I had signed up somewhere. And yeah, I didn't know that this is what this guy looks like. It's
so
hilarious.
here's the
Back in the
thing.
day. Now he doesn't look like that now.
He was actually in San Diego at the same time with Frank Kern, La Jolla, San Diego, to be specific. And I was down there too. So I know that area, and they would have these little conventions and stuff. I'm like, what is this? This is way before I even got into this whole game. But I was like, oh, okay. Those two and Billie Jean and a bunch of others were all down there in that whole little
Who you said
ecosystem.
Frank Kern, who was in there at the same time?
Frank
Was that
Kern, Grant Cardone,
Grant Cardone?
Billie Jean, um, and a couple others, I can't think of at the time. The
And back then, they were just mostly doing like these weekend webinar weekend, you know, conferences, right? You would come into a hotel or to a convention and
Yeah,
meet with them, right? Yeah.
mhm.
That was the game back in the day. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, San Diego, it's like the perfect weather and everything for those kinda events, and yeah, it was a big deal, but I saw Frank Kern on one of his videos, and he's, like, out here in La Jolla, and he panned around his office, and out into the street, I was like, "I recognize that street. Holy crap." I had lunch, like, a block down there from there.
That small world, yeah, yeah. So, like I said, man, it's the game is to be what sold, not told. But you start realizing like these games, and like you said, they all you talked about like the David Shan connection, this other podcaster, and then Alex Hormozy, and I told you about his connection to Russell Brunson, and of course to Myron Golden. You start
Yeah,
realizing they all kind of were in the same area at the same time, going to the same masterminds, and now they're like at this level. Now this next generation is coming up. I'm going to be curious to see we talked about that Hollywood, right? There's this
yeah,
whole next generation of internet marketers. What are they gonna start doing to
they're
kinda get to the
defining.
next level? Yeah.
Minor point, there's a name for it. If you run across it, let me know because I totally forgot the name for it. But it's when you get a confluence of energies from the same type of people and they end up defining something for the generation or even for all time after that.
Mm.
And it happened with the Stradivarius violin people. There were a bunch of people in the same region making violins for all these concerts and concertos, and they started to get a certain sound, and it became a thing. And basically, Stradivarius, that was the name that reigned supreme. but there's a whole bunch of other violin makers and cello makers and instrument makers and all that. There's a whole name for that kind of thing when a bunch of people get together in a maelstrom of creativity or whatever.
Man, and real quick too, that's why I like being an entrepreneur. Is I was in corporate America for 20 years, so it's like I was in a block of ice. You made moves inside your little ecosystem, but
Yeah,
you weren't really making moves. It's just inside. So God
block of
forbid
ice.
that. But think about it.
Yeah,
You're like, oh, I'm doing marketing because I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And every now and then you get one little idea that changes the game inside your corporate, right, structure. But once let's say you kicked out of corporate structure, you out in this world again, you're like, man, those skills I had back in corporate America, they didn't mean crap. And that's
yeah,
what I've been realizing. I was like, man, I didn't really learn it. There's some base level professionalism course, corporate structure, and all that.
yeah,
But when it comes to just how you make money in the market,
yeah, yeah,
like corporate America will not teach you that, man. And you got to get out of that structure. And then now you're in a wild world. You're like, oh man. And then not only that, but you can move a little bit faster with skill sets. So it's, if I talk to some of my corporate buddies now, some of the stuff I'm doing, they will have no clue how to do this. And also they're incentivized to not learn because let's say they got to a certain level and they're paid highly paid. It's
yeah,
almost like they only have a certain number of folks that can go to the same industry, same level job, but beyond that, it's going to be extremely difficult unless you're just one of the anointed ones to go up the ladder to CEO. But that's very rare, and it's they stuck at that lifestyle level, at that money level, because they can only go to so many jobs. Whereas once you become an entrepreneur,
yeah.
I'm like learning about AI. We didn't talk about it before, but I did deep dive on Facebook ads recently where literally, I know like a lot of stuff now, how to get these things running. You probably see a
Nice.
lot more of my ads out there now
Yeah.
because you probably get retargeted.
Hey, I'm
You
seeing them. I'm seeing them to the point where I was like, you know what he could do, and I was like, it just kept hitting me, so I was like, man, it's working.
it's working. See, it's working. So I mean, that's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, this is how this stuff is supposed to work now. And I'm starting to see it. And I got a book out there. So just shameless plug, but I put it out there. Got my funnel going. So it's just like all these skills I would
Plug.
never have learned if I was in this block of ice. And going back to your point, is like being around with certain people and certain environments, elevate your game, right? And take it to the next level. Whereas certain environments in places like corporate America, sometimes you get stuck. And as you
Yeah.
really realize, and then after a certain point, at a certain age, you just don't have the energy or time to want to learn those new skills.
Yeah, some people turn to fuddy-duddies, but not us, 'cause we stay young by, watching stuff like Avatar: The Last Airbender as,
Yep,
as
yep.
grown men.